Moving on with the contributions of the modern school of thought, after learning the quantitative approaches of management and we understand the lacunas that were there in the quantitative approaches, and here the focus was more on the quality of the products and services that the organization's efforts are incorporated towards. Now it is also known as the total quality management. So we could say that the focus of this approach was more on the quality improvement in addition to the kind of decision that they are taking for the purpose of serving the customers in a better way. So it's not just only focusing on how to lead an organization towards a goal accomplishment, but it also focuses on that how we can improve the way in which we are performing. Now these kind of decisions that were being focusing on improving the services and the performances led to this kind of contribution, which is also known as the total quality management. So we could say that the concept focuses more on the improvement of the performance and serving to the customers, and not just only restricting the attention towards the logical decision making and rationalizing the decision. So herein we could say the improvement of the performance was also the concern of the organization. The basic elements that are involved in the quality approaches of management is the organization makeup, developing openness and trust, quality of goods and services, and continuous improvement in goods and services. These four elements will help us to get an idea of what this philosophy is all about, because herein they are referring to the structure and design of an organization, that how an organization is designed. That means the philosophy in which the organization is functioning is very important, because when you are focusing on improving the performance, you are talking about that how the things are operationalized. And in an organization, the activities functions through the nature of hierarchy and the structures, the interrelationship of one resource with another resource, and the people at different levels, how they are functioning in an organization and connected with each other. It all depends upon the organizational philosophy. So the way in which an organization is designed is also going to reflect a lot upon that how they can improve the efficiency of this kind of interrelationship. In addition, the organization, when focusing on quality and improving the performance, they also need to develop and foster a spirit of openness and trust. Because if there is no participation in management, if there is, the people working there are not openly sharing their opinions and sharing their creativity, or reflecting upon the viewpoints of each other, it will be difficult to synthesize this synergy within an organization. So we could say that it's not just only the structure of an organization that is helpful to improve the performance, but also that in an organization it is very much important to foster some kind of spirits of trust and openness, so that the people working together can contribute their efforts in a direction which is fruitful and creative at the same time. By also not just focusing on the improving the structure and the culture of an organization, the goods and services quality also have to be improved. So the focus is not just on the internal scenario of an organization, the focus also has to be go to the output aspect of the organization, that the quality of the goods and services also have to be improved. Now to improve the quality, it's very essential for organizations to recognize that how they can improve, how they can enhance these standards, and what are the benchmarks that are competing along with their product and services in the market. To improve the quality of goods and services, it is essential for organizations to focus on that what are the quality metrics and what are the quality benchmarks for the goods and services that they are dealing in. In addition to that, a continuous effort and a continuous improvement in the goods and services, if this philosophy is not adopted, and if this continuity in making the effort towards this direction is not adopted, this approach will not be served. So we could say it's not just only that the organization realize the value of improving their services and the quality to the customers, but also they realize that there are various internal factors that will affect this kind of operationalization. And to improve the services and the performances, the organization focus towards the quality of the goods and services, plus the continuous improvement towards the quality of goods and services was also essentially the focus of attention of the organization. So we could say that the quality approach of management is very much dependent upon the philosophy of the Japanese technique, that how they have improved their quality of services and how they have paid attention towards improving their quality of the goods and services to their customers. After the World War II, the Japanese philosophy of management became very popular, and their different techniques that they were adopting to improve the quality of services became popular and a kind of a guidance for the management to make better decisions regarding the quality improvement. We could see that on June 24th in 1980, a kind of a television documentary was aired, and the title was If Japan Can, Why Can't We? So this kind of documentary have really helped the public spaces and also the organizations specifically to realize the potential of the consistency in improving the efforts towards the goal attainment, and not just delivering goods and services to the customers. So different kind of technique that the Japanese used to adopt in their organizations became very popular, and some of which we are going to discuss here, that helped the organizations to realize that how they can improve the operations and decision making in an organization. Schuhart, Deming and Juran were responsible for developing the concept of the quality circles. The quality circle is that kind of a approach that was being adopted in organizations for the purpose of developing some qualitative groups in an organization, because there are different types of people in an organization. They have their own abilities, they have their own skills, they have their own talent. Now, quality circles is that kind of phenomenon which focuses on forming the group of those individuals and bringing them together so that they can discuss upon the ways in which the quality of a product and service can be improved. So quality circles is one of the very popular technique which has been adopted by organizations for the purpose of bringing the intellectual minds together in an organization and to draw better, innovative and creative strategies for the organization. Another popular Japanese technique is the Kaizen approach that stresses upon the incremental and the continuous improvement of not just only people but also the processes and the products. So it focuses on the three dimensions, that is the continuous improvement not just in the abilities of the people and the kind of efforts that they incorporate into the whole process, but also the way in which they are approaching to the problem, the kind of techniques that they are incorporating, also the products and services that they are designing for the customers to serve. So there is a kind of a continuity which is required, and this approach strongly advocates the continuity and persistence in a direction. And when you are continuously contributing to the improvement of a process, the results are incremental in nature. They gradually accumulate with the synergy of the previous effort. So we could say that the Kaizen approach talks about the continuity and constant improvement. The very purpose of Kaizen approach suggests that the managers at individual level and at the team level must not only focus on improving the efforts but also take care of the learning from the past. It's basically a kind of a process that you can learn better when you are learning from your mistakes. So whatever kind of lacunas that have happened in the previous process of decision making and the process of serving the products and services to the customers, it is essential for the managers to realize the potential of the constant learning. So the improvement is not just only in terms of you are improving the quality of the product or services by responding to the needs of the customers, but at the same time improving the learning also of the people and generating this kind of feeling in the team that learning has to be continuous in nature. You cannot learn something and unlearn it in the next go and repeat the same mistakes. So it's typically more focusing on that how you can continuously make efforts in a direction to keep on improving the efforts, the quality of the product and services, and at the same time utilizing the resources in the most optimum manner. So bringing people together and enabling them to express and share their opinions and their experiences will also help a team to learn and improve their vision better, so that they can incorporate all of these visions together for the purpose of achieving of the goal. So this approach focuses on the continuous and incremental development of the people, process and the products altogether. Another popular Japanese technique was a zero defects policy, wherein Phillips Crosby coined this term in his book titled The Absolutes of the Quality Management. And in this approach, he specifically highlighted the importance of adopting such kind of balanced approach in decision making, that the defects has to be zero and the outcome should be the quality which is considered as free as a result of the efforts which are incorporated into the vision of transforming the inputs into the outputs. So zero defect is that kind of a wonderful concept that helps the organization to understand the importance of the resources, efforts of the people that were collectively used and utilized for the purpose of achieving a goal, but not just in that sense of incorporating visions altogether, but also that the process has to be so much focused on reducing the defects that the outcome of will be the quality. That means the quality is a free concept as an outcome of the whole process. So another popular Japanese technique which is coined by Phillips Crosby is a zero defects philosophy, about which he wrote in his book titled Absolutes of Quality Management, wherein he believes that if the zero defect policy is adopted, the byproduct of such kind of process will be quality. So in a way we could say that the whole cost which is involved into the transformation of the inputs into the output, the byproduct of that will be qualitative itself, because the process is focusing on reducing the wastage, reducing the defects in the whole process of production, and producing that product or a service that need to be delivered to the customers. So in this approach we could say it is not just only talking about the quality improvement, but actually it is focusing on reducing the wastage during the whole process of production and transformation. So the focus of attention is more towards the means to achieve the goal rather than the end of the goal, which is the quality itself. So zero defect approach focuses on the reducing the wastage kind of philosophy during the process of production and transformation of inputs to the outputs. So Taishi Ono, who is also known for developing the Toyota production services, referred to as lean manufacturing, another Japanese technique for the betterment of improving the quality of the product that are being manufactured. So this kind of a technique or this kind of understanding to look at how the flexibility in a process of manufacturing can be adopted, and he also focused on the concept of just in time, which helps a lot in the inventory management, that how if we focus on the whole process of synthesizing the resources altogether, we are able to get the whole process done within the specified limit of time in the most effective manner. So this kind of approach of adopting a lean manufacturing technique into the whole process of production systems is going to optimize the resources incorporated into the process, and it will reveal the optimum utilization of resources as a outcome of the whole production. So this is another contribution from the Japanese technique. In addition to that, certain kind of standards and the certifications acting as a quality mark helped a lot in improving the quality of the product and services, not just at the production level, but it also gained a lot of momentum because of the customers' trust. It helped customers to trust the process, that if a product and services is possessing a certain kind of label or a certification mark or a certain kind of a standard label, then it helped them to recognize that the process of quality has been adopted while processing and transforming this kind of product or service. So these kind of standard marks have really raised the bar of the production system, because the organizations have to ensure that they meet the quality standards, and they also adopt the process through which these kinds of standards can be gained. And such kind of standards and labels were not only effective for the quality of goods and services to be ensured of, but it also gained the trust of the customers. So at the same time it served the two ends, that it helps the organization to develop better products and services and ensure that the process is improved every time that they ensure the production is on, but at the same time it helped customers also to gain a lot of trust over the products and services that they are buying, and gaining value out of their purchase. Another approach was a re-engineering approach that focuses on the radical redesigning of the business processes. Now, herein we could say that improvement in the ultimate outcome of the goods and services is not only essential, but a kind of a re-engineering sometimes may also be required, wherein a huge radical transformation at the end of the mediums through which the process is processing may be required. So that kind of approach is also very important to understand the importance of improving the quality of goods and services, which may not only go in a linear way to the resource allocation to production of the goods and services, but sometimes it could be in a re-engineered mode, wherein some kind of transformation or some kind of redesigning in the business processes will also be required. So in this way, every organization urges its employee and manager to look at all aspects of the operations in our organization and to find out ways in which they can rebuild the organization system, which will be helpful in improving the efficiency and also to identify any of the redundancies, if there is any kind of wastage of the resources, or if there is overutilization of resources at some end, to identify redundancies, which is very helpful in reducing certain kind of wastages. It will be help the organization in identifying those areas where certain kind of overlapping and certain kind of underutilization of resources is going on. So it will only help to improve the process of the whole transformation. This kind of approach, sometimes also known as the business process reengineering approach, many a times it is acronymed as BPR, commonly used in organizational communications, which involves a complete rethinking and transformation of the key business processes, leading to strong horizontal coordination and greater flexibility in responding to the changes in the environment. Now, when such kind of procedures are adopted, it not just only urges the people involved to rethink and redesign, but they also urges to rebuild the structure sometimes, because it is a very important factor that decides upon the quality improvement. That if there is any kind of system lacuna that is there in an organization, that can only be tackled if certain kind of revisiting to that philosophy is possible. And such kind of ideologies and thinking are very helpful in improving the process. When you are revisiting the structure or the rebuilding the structure or a culture system in an organization, that can help in improving the ultimate goal achievement. Re-engineering sometimes is also understood as a synonym for downsizing and outsourcing, but that is not the case. It's not always that you cut down a business or that you close or shut down a unit of a organization, and that is something we are talking about as re-engineering. No, that is not a situation. Re-engineering is something that re-looking at that how you are processing a task, and if there are any changes required or if there are any improvements which are suggested, that should be incorporated for the purpose of betterment of the achievement of the goal. It is about rethinking, rebuilding the structure within an organization to improve the whole mechanism of transformation of input to output. Moreover, the re-engineering approach focuses on sensing the need of the change and not just looking out for short-term solutions of going for closing down a unit or going for better options available in the market. So it's basically about that you understand that there is a need to change and you anticipate that change, and then you react within that space of time, that whatever is required to happen, you make it happen with the purpose of revisiting the whole process so that the process outcome can be improved. So the re-engineering process is another kind of a approach that helped organizations to revisit in the way they were already functioning. So some kind of approaches that were derived from these Japanese philosophy are really helpful to get an idea of that how the quality can be improved, and quantitative approaches helped us to get an idea of how the logical decision making can be reached. So both of these approaches we could say are complementary in nature and they cannot substitute one another. So both of these are some very notable contributions of the modern times. And we could say that the modern organizations which are evolving with the passage of time could not only keep on focusing on one element in one aspect. It is like there are different inputs in an organization an organization has to be reflected from a viewpoint of a system. So these kind of contributions that were happening in the modern times were more relevant for a reason, and the kind of changes that were happening in the environment urges the organizations to respond to the changes happening in the environment. And all of these kinds of philosophies and the techniques that were being adopted for improving managerial decision making and effectiveness in managerial decision making were for the purpose of betterment of the decision and utilization of the resources. So these kind of contributions that were happening during the modern school of thought helps us to understand that it was a need of the time, and it requires the organizations to respond to these kinds of changes that were happening around, and to incorporate those changing by adopting to various of the ways in which they can improve their decision making, and how they can improve the way in which resources can be utilized, not just optimally but effectively.